right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for Fast Five. Let's get to our first topic. Fantasy sports, fighting a legal battle. We know that FanDuel and DraftKings were both banned in New York. And Marylanders may get to vote on this. What are your thoughts? Are these good things or bad things?
I'm not, gambling is not something that's in my wheelhouse, so it's kind of hard for me to gauge, the interest, why there's an interest level in it. I think it occupies people's times, but I think Maryland sees it potentially as a source of revenue that we're not able to reel in. So maybe there's some way to legislate it in that they can take their 72.5% out of our winnings.
Janice, do you support New York banning FanDuel and DraftKings?
I think we have to make a decision, or the governments need to make a decision, whether gambling's illegal or it's legal. And because, you've got fantasy and gambling over your fantasy sports, but then you've got the lottery and
slot machines
you've got slot
and
machines
horse races.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So either it's legal or it's not legal. And, what are the ramifications? I mean, Pete Rose is still kicked out of baseball after, 30 years, 40 years?
He broke the cardinal rule. He bet on his own team. I mean, he might,
But it's still a gambling issue. So, the fact is, decide what the stance is and then stick to it.
Okay, second question. Washington County School Board is looking for ways to cut the budget. That's due to decreases in enrollment that caused less revenue to come in. What are your thoughts on that?
You want me to take it? Okay.
Go ahead.
All right. Part of the budget issue that we have, and I saw a couple county commissioners recently, they were like, well, they moved the money out of the one reserve fund to help pay down the debt on Barbara Ingram. The long-term picture is it actually saves WCPS money by paying the debt off early. Right. The short-term ramification is that it does eliminate some of the rainy day fund. We have to talk how we can be most efficient in serving the students' needs, and I think that's what the current school board's attempting to do. But at the same point, we need to make sure that our teachers and employee and support staff are taken care of. And I know they're in budget talks right now, and whenever you go down and sit down in budget talk, you're always asking for the moon, and you're hoping that you can settle for somewhere between the moon and somewhere in the atmosphere.
But the reality is that the biggest expense in any organization is salaries. Mm-hmm. So if we start looking to cut budget, isn't that the first thing we always look at? What positions can we eliminate?
And I don't think that's the right solution. I think looking at it from a continuous improvement, looking at from the Toyota manufacturing, lean startup, makes a lot more sense. Take what is happening in the manufacturing industry and apply it to the school system and say, how do we make things more effective? How do we make it more efficient? Put a proposal, challenge all the different employees, the teachers, superintendents, principals, to come up with ways to, because the person actually doing the job knows how to make it better, has ways to make it more effective, efficient, and at the end of the day, that can save a lot of money. So that may be one way to help balance a budget.
One of the biggest burdens the school system has is the pension plan, because the state used to administer that. And that's been handed down back to the local county level. And we're seeing it taking a larger and larger share.
And will continue to.
And will grow to a point that will almost be unmanageable on a local school system level to meet the pension requirements.
That's part of the reason the state's got such a good budget this year.
That's what I was just going to say. That's how they balance the budget,
But that was done under Governor O'Malley.
Yes, it was. Okay, Southern Boulevard. We all love that bridge there by UPS and FedEx, where it's the one-lane bridge and you have to wait on the one side. Southern Boulevard would fix all that, and the county just cleared the way to purchase the final 2 properties that stood in the way of making Southern Boulevard a reality. Is this a good thing? Is this our... should we do the road by the college first, or is Southern Boulevard important?
That road's already in progress, scheduled to finish by the end of this year. But I do think this Southern Boulevard is a good idea. Anytime you can alleviate congested traffic and make things an easier flow to get there.
Well, and that bridge, let's face it, has outlived its usefulness. It's a beautiful bridge. I'm not suggesting otherwise. It's very historic.
bridges
But
are.
Yeah, I mean, we need better access to things in our community. Okay, fortunately, we have 70 and 81 that really have been the thoroughfares of how to get north, south, east, and west in Hagerstown. But you know, Eastern Boulevard, Northern Boulevard really were a boon to businesses and ready access to northern, neighborhoods on the north side of town. Southern Boulevard will serve the same benefit. Next beyond that is, I guess we need to look at an interconnector from 70 to 81 on the east side of Hagerstown up to the north side of Hagerstown to speed things up there.
yeah. Okay, Hagerstown gets tough on trash. The keep your trash in your backyard in a container or get fined $200 is a reality. What do we think? Are we wielding the stick more than the carrot?
I'll give them a thumbs down. I think they're going after the wrong targets because a lot of the properties are rental properties in town. They're finding the owners of the property and not necessarily the residents who are causing the issue. I think they could probably go in with a gentler approach and lure more bees to the honey than going in there and pouring vinegar down everyone's throats.
Janice?
Nah, I guess the question is, what would a better solution be? I mean, because when you have trash all over the place, and
But do you
it's
have trash
unkept,
all over the place? And
obviously
number one,
I think it's a problem.
and number two, the specific areas that they're talking about, a lot of them, you're not going to be able to store trash other than in the front yard because there is no backyard. So, there's a significant number of exceptions that they all recognize that are going to have to be made to that. So what have they fixed? Other than putting trash in the trash can, which I fully support, what have they fixed?
Do the trash, well, the question is, does the trash company actually provide the container?
Yeah, I think they
Because
do.
if they did, that would be a big solution.
Yeah.
Part of it.
Okay. Last one. The Celebrity Smackdown. Karen Harshman versus Ryan Miner. So Karen filed a peace order against Ryan that was thrown out. She wanted him not to be able to contact her and not to be able to email her. The judge said, not going to do it, but Ryan, you ought to really think about being a little nicer sometimes. What do we think about that? Janice?
I think there's basic professionalism, and when you're addressing any other person, it's, it kind of goes back to Henry and I were discussing the rotary four-way test the other day. Is what you're saying, is what you're doing a benefit to everybody? Is it kind? And, ask that before you open your mouth or open your email.
Well, I think Ryan's perspective on it is he's taking it as he's a journalist. He has a internet blog. He runs an internet radio program, and he's trying to dig for facts and dig for information. And I mean, I personally know Ron. He's been a panelist on the show a number of times for you. And I know Mrs. Harshman, okay? Karen gives her time and she's in public view. Did the email that I think brought all this to a head cross the line? I would not have hit the send button on it, but I'm not Ryan Miner, okay? Some people thank me for that, but but he's approaching it as a journalist. And so where do we have the liberty of First Amendment rights and where do we cross the line? Okay, is he a National Enquirer journalist or is he looking to be a Washington Post journalist?
Donald Trump said the National Enquirer is right a lot of the time, and I'm going to take the last word on that because we are way out of time. Stay tuned. Last call is next.